Colin, Tua Tagovailoa and the Dolphins have yet to reach a long-term extension, but reports indicate the two sides have remained in consistent contract talks since last month. The report also adds that both Tua and Miami are taking a very amicable approach, and things don't look like they'll go south. Colin, I don't understand it, because if you're really considering who the Dolphins are, what the reality is, they have been searching for a franchise quarterback since Dan Marino. The guy retired 25 years ago. The Dolphins have not won a playoff game since 2000. You're staring at your franchise cornerstone, who's 26 years old, right in front of you. What is the holdup? He's a model citizen. He led the NFL in passing yards last year. He's a Pro Bowler. What are they waiting for?
Well, I think a lot of it is he feels very weather vulnerable. You're not going to get him cold when if you look at the best teams in the AFC, Kansas City outside, Baltimore outside, Cincinnati outside, Buffalo outside. You're going to be playing in late January up north, potentially.
True.
And he is a weather-restricted quarterback. I think they want to keep him. And I think it's the same thing with Dallas and Kirk Cousins in Minnesota for years. They want to keep him. It's a numbers game. With Mahomes, with Josh Allen, you're going to lose. They're going to get what they want to get. LeBron in his prime. You're going to get what you want to get. But in the NFL, there's a big difference between 48 and 59. And so I think they want him, but there are realities with his game. If you are looking around corners, Josh Allen's in his prime, Mahomes in his prime, Burrow if healthy in his prime, Lamar in his prime. That's a lot of cold weather teams in January, and this is a guy that doesn't throw the ball in windy weather especially well.
I'm not saying that he's Dan Marino.
No.
But he is, to me, the perfect instrument for Mike McDaniel. And I think he's still getting better. He's an ascending player.
Yeah, he is. That's what he is. He's a perfect. Well, I mean, he's very much Drew Brees, who was his comp coming out of college.
Perfect.
Drew was perfect for Sean Payton's mind. And I think the difference is Brees had one major injury early, but I don't feel like he had a history of injuries. And I think that's the concern with Tua. I think the Dolphins want to sign him, but they want to be protected if he goes south physically.
Fair enough. Speaking of quarterbacks, looking for a new deal. You just mentioned Dallas. Dak Prescott is still waiting on a long-term extension, Colin, from the Cowboys. We most recently saw him in a walking boot around the 4th of July, which caused a lot of concern amongst the media. Here's what Dak had to say about it.
Honestly, I'm getting older. It's the same ankle, right, that I snapped and had a nasty surgery on 4 years ago. So, a couple of hard days of training, and you get a little sore, and then you're going on a fishing trip, and you want to protect it and make sure that things don't get worse. So, literally, it's absolutely nothing. That's why I said people are reaching, trying to make things that they aren't. I'm getting older, have to take care of my body, have to be smart, and if I can take precautions and lessening something by putting on a boot, I'm gonna do it. And so, sorry that it caused such a whirlwind.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, you're the coach of the Dallas Cowboys. If a picture like that we're showing our TV audience comes out, people are going to react to it. If you're a Yankee shortstop or a Laker guard or a, Notre Dame quarterback or you're Dak Prescott and you're in a walking boot before camp, shocker, it's going to be a story.
He also does have the leverage. There's a no-trade clause.
Yeah.
He just saw that, and also a no-tag clause, and he just saw that Kirk Cousins at 35, coming off a torn Achilles, got $185 million. So he knows the worst-case scenario for him really is to play it out and get paid next year as a 31-year-old quarterback.
I've said this. I'm not hypercritical of Dak. I would pay him. I'm just not going to pay him 58. I'm not paying.
So what's a fair number for Dak?
And he's going to get more than this, but I think when you look at Dak and Tua, you've had some injuries that have mounted. I think the number's in the 40s. Jared Goff never gets injured.
He got 212 over 4.
Yeah, and Jared throws a better ball than Dak, is healthier than both, doesn't move as well as Dak, but moves about like Tua. And everybody pushed back on Goff, and I think Goff is a better thrower of the football, bigger, healthier than Dak and Tua. So Goff is somebody that if you have to pay in the 5s, that's the first number. I'm more comfortable with that. I get so much pushback on him, but Dak's had some injuries now.
100%.
And he has struggled in January. Tua has a history of injuries, albeit healthy last year, and we see he's weather restricted. So it's to me, the new reality is you're paying closer to 60 with the great quarterbacks, but it's not that these teams don't like their player. It's like it's a numbers game. It's a math equation at this point.
Well, they also have Micah. They also have CeeDee Lamb. And if you're thinking about Detroit, they have set up Goff much better in terms of the offensive line, the running game, than what Dallas has. You know, Sewell, Gibbs, Amon-Ra.
By the way, the Dolphins and the Cowboys are both finger crossers on the O-line. Detroit's got easily the best O-line in the sport.
Dallas just lost their center as well as Tyron Smith, who's a potential Hall of Famer. So there's a lot there in terms of the weaknesses of that offensive line. The Vikings, Colin, made the decision to let Kirk Cousins walk this offseason and instead made Justin Jefferson the league's highest paid receiver. In an appearance on the Rich Eisen show, Jefferson addressed whether he was surprised by Cousins' departure to Atlanta.
I always knew, Kirk, was going to do whatever he needs to do for his business-wise. And I just knew that, everything just wasn't, the way he wanted it to be here. I'm not mad at him at all for that. I'm grateful for what he has brought to me and, the things that we have accomplished together. But, at the end of the day, it's a business.
So, Sam Darnold, your guy. You love Sammy.
I do.
J.J. McCarthy. So, let's assume that Darnold is the QB1 to start the season. Maybe McCarthy plays at some point.
Yeah.
But whether or not you like Kirk Cousins is almost immaterial when you consider that all of Jefferson's success, Jordan Addison, a lot of T.J. Hawkinson's, comes from Kirk Cousins under center.
Yeah. By the way, I ran into Sam Darnold out east. Looks healthy, ready to go.
Okay.
Fired up in Minnesota. Yeah, I mean, very infrequently has Minnesota been a mess. I tend to think they're smartly owned, well coached. Even coaches like Mike Zimmer, who got let go, I thought were really good coaches. It shows you the value of quarterback in this league. Their over and under is like 6.
Right.
I could make an argument. Elite offensive talent. They have the best receiver in the game, the second best offensive tackle, a top 5 tight end, one of the ascending stars at running back, and the tall Sean McVay at coach.
Yeah, Kevin O'Connell.
I tell you, last year, everybody had the Rams as a rebuild at 5 or 6 wins, and they made the playoffs. If you told me there was a team in the NFL that you look up and they're like 8-4 through
Minnesota.
12, it's an offensive league.
True.
I love their coach, their left tackle, their running back. Their O-line's better, their tight end, their star receiver. They even have Jordan Addison at 2.
Really good young player, yep.
Yeah, and there's not a great defense in their division. Chicago's could be. But Green Bay and Detroit don't have great defenses.
Yeah.
If there's a team in the league that Vegas missed on the Rams last year. If there's a team they're missing on, it's Denver in the AFC, I think, is more than capable of winning 9 games, and it's Minnesota in the NFC.
See, the pushback would be Darnold hasn't really ever been that guy.
Yeah.
And the division is still really good.
But Kyle Shanahan and this head coach, 2 of the 4 or 5 smartest coaches in the league offensively, both really like Sam Darnold. It's a pretty good indication.
Everyone likes Sam Darnold until he has to play a full season and really show it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's your guy. If it's ever going to happen for Sam, it's going to be this year.
No, there'd be no excuses.
Yeah.
You can make arguments about the Jets and Adam Gase and Carolina's lack of weapons.
100%.
If Sam can't win games here, it's on Sam. There's no great defenses outside of perhaps Chicago in that division. So he'll get 6 divisional games. 4 of the games are against, at best, average defenses.
Okay, I like it. Let's go to Team USA basketball, Colin, where we had some breaking news ahead of tonight's matchup with Canada on FS1. Shams Charania reports that Kawhi Leonard is withdrawing from the Olympic roster.
What a shock.
And will be replaced. Multiple reports indicate that Celtics guard Derek White will replace him.
Oh, I love that.
On the roster.
Oh, I love that.
You like the Derek White ad?
I would have taken Derek White over him. I think Derek White's on a short list of the most underrated players in the league. I think Derek White's fantastic. Both ends of the floor. Willing teammate, great defender, can get buckets. Yeah, I mean, the Kawhi Leonard thing, I just do not understand this fascination. Well, I mean, you could be the best herdline news guy ever. If you're here only 2 out of 5 days a week, at some point, I'm over. Like, I need you to be available, my quarterback or my star basketball player.
That's part of the deal, being available.
Yeah,
he also said before, because this is an odd story. Another odd story was when he said, losing Paul George to Philly, it doesn't really change my approach. I don't really understand what the Clippers are doing.
I don't
and
at all.
Definitely don't understand what Kawhi Leonard's doing when he says yesterday, I'm looking forward to the Canada game. I'll be ready to go.
Yeah, and he's now withdrawing. Jordan with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd.